John Travolta, Olivia Newton-John, Grease, the Broadway smash that made theatrical history by becoming one of the longest-running musical comedies of all time, breaks loose on the motion picture screen.
Hello, welcome to the Damian and Devlin Show. This is our review of the movie Grease. 1978, directed by Randall Kleiser. It starred John Travolta, Olivia Newton-John, Stockard Channing, and Jeff Conway. This was a Broadway musical that was one of the longest running musicals of the time, and they turned it into a movie, and it became a bigger phenomenon, one of the biggest selling soundtracks. It was one of the first musicals to gross like hundreds of millions of dollars. It was a box office smash. I again saw this movie in theaters. I was a little boy, and I remember it played all summer at this one theater, and it was amazing. It was back at a more innocent time, and I obviously chose this movie. Now, Damian had seen this movie before, which made me very happy. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a huge Olivia Newton-John fan, and it was nice to actually share this movie with him. And so we will see what he thinks of it now. You throwing stuff?
Yeah.
No, yeah, you're badass. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, this movie is cool. And let me tell you how cool. So cool that not only for Halloween did I dress up as Danny Zuko, John Travolta's character, but once again pulling it out of the closet. It is so cool and I love it.
It is a lot of fun movie. Now, basic storyline, for those of you who don't know, though, I think most everybody has seen Grease. I think this is one of those movies that almost everybody enjoys, whether they love it, like it. I think you're pretty much tapping your toes to the song. But basically, simple story about a senior year at a high school, Rydell High, and Danny Zuko, leader of a tough gang, supposedly.
T-Birds.
The T-Birds. Falls in love with a very sweet, saccharine Australian exchange student, played by Olivia Newton-John. And chaos ensues, and lots of music. And of course, it takes place in the 1950s, was made in the 70s, and is still loved in the 2000s.
Absolutely. And for those of you that know about him, he loves Olivia Newton-John. Me, in a past life, I must have lived in the 50s because I love the 50s. I love the style. I love the music. I love the cars. Everything to do with the 50s, the simpler times, the white picket fence. I'm just in love with it. I wish if I could go back in time, I wish I could go back to the 50s. And I think Grease is a perfect example of how fun they were. The times, I mean, anyways.
Now, this is one of my all-time favorite movies, so I'm going to base a lot of my review on nostalgia, so keep that in mind. Nothing wrong with that, but it's hard for me to get really critical about a movie I love so much, but this guy will find some stuff. But let's talk about positives first.
What can I say? I like I said, the 50s setting, excellent. I think that is absolutely stellar. The music, phenomenal. Like you said, it's impossible not to be tapping your foot or snapping your finger or bobbing your head or just, dancing. It is so cool. I love it.
And not only
so
the musical
cool.
numbers, but they have little music all over this movie, like even in the background here.
All over. I love it. I love this movie to bits. The music is excellent. Now, I'm not a big fan of all the songs in the movie. I will admit that, but I would say at least 90% of the songs in this movie are so catchy. They're so fun. I was actually obsessed with this movie's soundtrack a few summers ago, and it was before I met him, and just so happened to find out that this is actually one of his favorite movies. So I guess it's fate. I think the acting is stellar. It's phenomenal. I think everybody does a perfect job in their role. The characters are fun, and I just... one of my favorite scenes in this is the dance competition. I love the dancing in this movie too. I'm a huge advocate for good dancing, and this movie has it all.
Anything else?
I like John Travolta too. He's so cool. Like, he's just so cool. How do you not like John Travolta?
Yeah, this was at the height of his success. He was on a TV show called Welcome Back, Kotter.
Love that show.
That was
excellent show.
yeah. He only stayed there for a little bit, but he kept coming back because Saturday Night Fever blew up, and then he had Grease. So he had two mega hit movies. One that brought out disco. Like, talk about two era-defining movies. Saturday Night Fever is an awesome disco film. Then you have the 1950s looked at, and he pulls it off. I'll start with the acting. I think the acting's really good in this because they know exactly what they're going in doing. They know this isn't Shakespeare, but there's tender moments just in their facial expressions. I love John Travolta because not only is he really cool and hip, but he's not afraid to be goofy. And he's so animated when he does that little chicken dance, you know, like, that's so 50s, but he's not afraid. He's just so animated. It's so amazing to watch him. I love Olivia Newton-John. She actually made a really bad movie in the 60s and almost didn't want to do this movie because she thought she was horrible in it. And she's so perfect in this movie. Like, when you want somebody sweet like that, she just captures it, and she just glows when she's on screen. My favorite of the acting is Stockard Channing. She is just an amazing actress, and like, she was like, they were all old when they did this movie. Like, she was bucking maybe 33 playing a teenager, but you know, you're totally endeared to her when she's singing, you know, there are worse things I can do. You totally get she gets teen angst, and these are like, because she probably went through it like 50 and 60 years prior to that. She's an incredible. I always thought it might actually almost be an Oscar-worthy nomination for supporting, but never happened. I just think it's just a great performance. Randall Kleiser, the director, never really went on to direct a lot of big things. He did like The Blue Lagoon, did another wonderful movie called It's My Party, like in the 90s with Olivia as well, but she was a small part. Wonderful film. He never... I think he captures so much because he captures the energy of the 50s. He captures the dance sequences. A lot of musicals sometimes have problems with their sequences, but I think he nails everything. Grease Lightning, the choreography is wonderful. The dance, like you mentioned, the dance thing is perfect. Just the little things he gets them to do, and You're the One That I Want. Like, everything. Summer Night. I could go on forever. And again, the music is phenomenal. The music is phenomenal. They even managed to get away with songs like... I know you're a greaser and cool. No, they actually get away with stuff because a lot of the songs were written in the style of the 50s. But then you got songs like You're the One That I Want that actually kind of sounds like it could have been a 70s song too, but they get away with it because you're just so engrossed. When this movie first came out, I was telling Damian, it actually kind of hurt the Broadway musical because they added so many songs. And when people went to go see it on Broadway, they're like, where's You're the One That I Want? Where's, you know, Sandy? Where's, you know, they just Hopelessly Devoted to You, not in there. Grease, the actual song Grease, is not in the Broadway musical. You go to them now, they are in there because they just became so beloved. And yeah, so as you can see, I could talk for hours and I won't. Negatives.
Well, finally, I get the stage. Negatives I have, I was thinking about it during the movie, some of the negatives I have. I love the Pink Ladies. I love the T-Birds. I even like the leader of the Scorpions, even though the rest of his gang doesn't show up. The leader is there.
Yeah, they don't really flesh the other ones.
They were there in the car, like, at the beginning, and then they just suddenly, like, gone.
They were probably older looking than he was.
He looked like he was 40, as if, like, he'd been failing school since the 30s. Like, holy moly. But... I would say my biggest problem was some of the female cast and even some of the male cast. They look very similar, and I couldn't really distinguish some of them. Sometimes I'm like, okay, who's that? Who's that? Is this the same person? And then they would be standing next to each other. Like, okay, one's a little bit taller than the other, and one's a little bit stockier, and then they would be in separate scenes. I'm like, who's this again? So I got kind of confused then.
It helps when you see it over 20 times.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not that obsessed with it. It's a great movie, don't get me wrong, but I haven't seen it over 20 times. So there's that. Like I said, some of the songs I feel were not that great. Most of them are, don't get me wrong. And I went into this movie thinking, if I remembered correctly, that I didn't like the song Grease Lightning. But then I heard it, and I actually liked it.
Yeah.
Now, one song I know for sure And I might get flack for this one. One song I know for sure I don't like is actually Grease is the Word. I don't like that song. I found it very boring, and I was just like...
But it starts and ends the movie with such energy, though.
Come on.
It's so energetic. No. It's so lively.
No, it's not. I don't like that song.
All right.
And then also, you were raving about it. You're like, oh, I love it. I love it.
That part when they go into Love is a Splendid Thing, and she says, is this the end? And he says, no, it's only the beginning. And they cut into that. That is phenomenal. Sure. And then you get that awesome animation.
Sure. Yeah, sure, whatever. That animation, by the way, is not awesome. I did not like that animation. I was like, holy moly, I'm watching one of those old cartoons, like, how do you write a bill? Well, let me tell you how you write a bill sitting on Parliament Hill.
Could it be that it was trying to be from 1958?
Maybe, but I don't care. Like, I just couldn't get over the animation. That's basically all I could really think about. Now, you did tell me that some of the older actors that played the principal and the coach and whatnot, they were actually actors from the 50s, and I didn't know that going into this.
Yeah.
And then when I saw the credits afterwards, I recognized some of the names from the glory days of Hollywood, so I thought that was pretty neat.
They had to get old people, so it made the teenagers look older.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, as much as I love the acting in this, like, some of them, you could tell they are not teenagers. Like, they are not teenagers. Especially the Scorpion leader. Like, he looks like he's 40.
I always thought, hey, I'm going to look so mature when I go into high school. I saw this when I was 10, and I thought, my God, not only did I think that I'm going to look so mature, I was really disappointed there wasn't enough singing in high school. I thought we'd be singing everything, our problems, our angst.
Yeah, everybody just gets along really well.
Apparently that doesn't happen.
I felt, just that is the fact that there are adults playing teenagers. Like, obviously, that's still a problem with movies to this day, but some of them...
Not to this age extent.
Not to this extent. Like, Stockard Channing, you said she was like 33?
She was probably 33. Olivia was 30. She was 30.
Yeah.
Travolta was 28.
But the thing is, they made Olivia look kind of like a teenager. With Stockard Channing, you can tell her she's been around the block a few times, and that's what her character's all about too. So I guess it's perfect casting.
I'm sure there's teens with crow's feet. Now I'm gonna look. They stay up so late playing their video games.
I'm young. I'm still in my mid-20s. No,
you're good. Okay, I checked him out.
Thanks. I'm perfect. But when I shave, I pass for like an early 20s, young or late teens, and like that's okay because they pass for it. But like when you get 30-year-olds, like, nah.
I was thinking about it because I'm going on nostalgia. It's hard for me to find negatives because I've watched this movie every way I could. I'll only tell you the joke that I always thought was funny. And this is a mild spoiler, but if you haven't seen Grease already, you should go see it and then come back and watch this mild spoiler. Stockard Channing's character has unprotected sex because Grease has got some underlining naughty bits in it. At the very beginning of the school year, halfway through, she thinks she's pregnant, and by the end of the school year, which is what, about 9-10 months, she comes to terms with the fact, no, it was a false alarm. And I always giggle with that because to me it makes me laugh because it's like, really, it took her the whole school year to realize she wasn't pregnant from that first sexual intercourse. Besides that, I have nothing bad to say about this. I know that makes me a bad reviewer, but sometimes you have certain movies that you will let get away with everything. I see new perfections.
I disagree with that because my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, and you hated it.
Shut up. I still managed to find things that were wrong with it. So I'm sure if you dig deep enough, you can find something.
Not going to do it in this review. I love it too much. That's why you're here, to bring the negative. All right, it's score time. 0 to 5. I'm almost afraid. Do we even have to ask me?
Yeah, what are you going to give it, a 5 out of 5?
5 stars, baby. This is 5 stars.
Give me a break.
5 stars. It feels good, and one thing I love about it, every generation discovers this movie, and I love when I go to see Olivia in concert that because of Grease alone, you see all different ages, including little kids who discover this movie through their parents.
I'll give it that.
So I gotta give it 5 stars.
Unbelievable. He's handing it out like candy. Like,
Yeah.
5 here, 5 there, 5 here, 5 there.
Not
Everybody gets a
that
5.
bad.
I'm the
5.
Oprah of movie
There you-
reviews. Everybody gets a 5.
I'm sure you won't give it a 5.
No, it's
so-
not getting a 5.
Oh,
It'll get
I
a
loved
4.
it too.
It'll get a
No,
4.
no.
It gets a 4 from me. 4.
4 is respectable.
It's excellent movie. I enjoy it thoroughly, but no, it doesn't get a 5.
I respect a 4. And I enjoyed sharing this with you
Yeah, I
because
loved watching it.
if I get a chance to watch it again, I watch it with anybody. Somebody says, I've never
he's gonna
seen
be
Grease,
singing.
it's coming on.
He's
So,
gonna be singing, and then if I'm there, I'm gonna be dancing. He'll be singing.
Yeah.
So I
We
like
had a
to
lot of
dance.
fun, and we certainly need it, and this is a feel-good movie. Thank you for watching this review, and keep commenting and everything. We love hearing what you have to say. We're trying to figure out what the next movies, we have a couple plans still, but after that, open space. So let us know what you want to see us, and challenge us. We'd love to see a movie that neither of us has seen to review.
Absolutely. And just keep in mind, guys, always subscribe so that you get notified when we do these next. You never know what's going to come up. And make sure you tune in next week because you're the one that we want. Boo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Boo-boo-boo. Honey.
We go together like rum-a-lum-a-lum.
John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John together for the first time in Grease.